In this video, it's just going to be a basic introduction to sound. Sound is a pressure variation that is transmitted through matter. Remember, we said in one of the other videos that there is no sound in space. And if there is no sound in outer space, that means sound is a mechanical wave. Remember, I told you that I always see this question, and it says, is sound a mechanical wave or not? And because sound requires a medium, it is a mechanical wave. And you can see when you ring a bell, the bell is just like sitting here, and then they rung it, and then you can see those pressure variations kind of transmitting through space, or through matter. When we talk about sound, we're really going to talk about wavelength as well. You can have a short wavelength or a long wavelength, and then a high frequency or a low frequency. A short wavelength is going to give you a high frequency, and that's going to be a high pitch. Flutes, opera singers, all those people have a short, that sound is a short wavelength, which is a high frequency, which is a high pitch. If you have a long wavelength, that means your waves are going to take longer and longer to get to you. Then you're going to have a low frequency, and that low frequency corresponds to a low pitch. So this is like tubas and things like that. This is flutes, and this is tubas. So this is Hipster Dog. He says, my favorite frequency is 50,000 hertz. You've probably never heard it before. This would be a frequency that a dog can hear, but a human cannot. It's supposed to be funny. It's a science joke. Pitch is how high or low a sound is. Remember, a high pitch equals a high frequency. Infrasound is sound that is lower than humans can hear, and ultrasound is a sound above what humans can hear. If you think about an ultrasound that like women get when they're pregnant, this is actually taking sound waves, and it's creating that picture based on the sound waves. And you don't hear the sound that the ultrasound is making because it has a higher pitch than humans can actually hear. And loudness depends on the amplitude of the pressure wave. Okay, if you remember, if you have a wave, okay, the amplitude is how far from the rest position. That's this distance right here. And so if you are close to something, you're going to have a very loud or a very high amplitude. And if you think about like waves in a pond, they kind of go like this, and they get lower and lower. So this is near, and this is far, and that's why things sound quiet to things that are so far away. I've heard, now this is just what I've read, that a sound, theoretically, if you are 10 miles from the airport, and there's nothing between you and the airport, and there are no other sounds, supposedly, you could hear a piece of chalk drop at the airport because that sound wave is going to be traveling through space. But really what happens is that sound wave, whatever happens at the airport, is minimized by the walls of the airport and all the things between you and the airport. And so you really don't hear chalk dropping at the airport. Can you imagine if you could hear like sounds like that light everywhere? I feel like it would be really annoying. So sound is measured in decibels, and decibels are a logarithmic scale. So if you have something, 10 decibels is barely audible, and 0, this is the limit of human hearing. So 0 decibels is the limit of human hearing. 10 decibels is something that you can barely hear. 30 decibels is a whisper 1 meter away. That's about 3 feet. 50 decibels is just casual conversation. 70 decibels is heavy traffic. I don't know if you guys ever driven on 16. I noticed that I can't hear my music, or I actually listen to an audiobook, and I can't hear it as well because of the noise of the road and the highway. 80 decibels is an alarm clock. That's probably why they're annoying. Anything above 90, and if you are exposed to that for extended periods of time, it can actually really, really hurt your hearing, and you can have permanent hearing damage. When you guys listen to your headphones, and I can hear your music, and from your headphones, that's really dangerous. That's really way too loud. And it's also kind of disgusting because your ear, when it hears those loud sounds, it tries to protect itself from those sounds. And so it actually, you build up wax faster if you listen to really loud music like that. And so whenever I hear kids with their music really loud, I always think about all the nasty wax they have in their ears. 100 decibels is a siren. 110 is a rock concert, and 140 is a jet engine. Okay, so let me tell you the story about, I went to a rock concert when I was in high school. We went to see Lit. Look up My Own Worst Enemy. This is like their most famous song. And so we go to this concert, and we have to be home by midnight, and we live in Effingham, and it's in Hilton Head. And so we have to leave the club at 11. So we get to the concert, we're like the first ones there, and they have these really big speakers. And we got to be right next to the speakers. It was very cool. And except they had this very terrible cover band, band at the beginning, but we were excited because we'd get to see Lit. And then Lit kept not coming on stage and not coming on stage. About 11, Lit decides to take the stage, which is exactly when we had to go home. And so the way to the concert, we had been blasting music. I don't know if you guys do this, but we were listening to all the Lit songs we could think of, really loud, on the way to the concert in my friend's car. So of course we know all the words, and we'd be all ready to go when we got to the concert. So on the way home, we just kind of sat and talked, and we're like, man, this is, it's so lame. We had to go home, and we didn't even get to see Lit. It's just really annoying. But we didn't hear any music on the way home from the concert. Okay. Then the next morning, my friend said he woke up, and he got ready for school, and he got in his car. When he turned on his car, the music in the car was blasting so loud. But on the way home from the concert, we didn't hear it at all. So what had happened is we basically had hearing loss from standing so close to those speakers from not even the whole concert, just before Lit even got on the stage. And so that really kind of made us sit back and think about, what it would have been like to lose our hearing. And so, of course, we never did that ever again. Some other terms of sound, the fundamental frequency of an instrument is the lowest frequency. And so you can see this is a violin. This would be the fundamental frequency. This is a clarinet. The fundamental frequency is right here. If you have a piano, the fundamental frequency is here. You can play much lower notes than either the clarinet or the violin. It has a much larger range. And so the fundamental frequency is the lowest frequency, that lowest sound that the instrument can make. And then harmonics are these higher frequencies in odd number multiples of the fundamental frequency. So like 1 is the fundamental, and then 3, 5, 7, 9. These are like different harmonics of the instrument. Maybe you guys in band or orchestra have, you guys talk about harmonics.